don't think you need an excuse, but thank you. Just so you know.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call this public hearing to order. I must read the rules for order for public hearing, non-zoning matters. The mayor is the presiding officer. Our remarks should be addressed to the city council as a body, not to individual members. Anyone wishing to speak shall come to the microphone, give their name and address to the city clerk, limit remarks to 3 minutes unless further time is granted by the council, excuse me. Not speak a second time, and anyone wishing to speak has spoken once. No one can speak more than twice. Please do not speak unless you have the microphone and have been recognized. And with that, we will start the public hearing. And Daria, I believe you're going to give us a presentation on this today?
Yes, hello, good evening. Good evening. I'm Daria Kriskus. I'm the Budget and Strategy Manager for the city. This is public hearing number 2 of a total of 3 hearings we'll be having on the budget. The first was yesterday at noon. And then there's tonight, and then Thursday at noon, we'll have our 3rd and final hearing. Let's see. So first we have, on this slide, our kind of like summary of all funds slide. We always start out with this. And just to give you some background, the budget development process, it's a lengthy process that we started several months ago. Our approach to this budget was focusing on sustaining the city's growth over the last 5 years. Some factors that came into play were that, the city is subject to the same inflationary pressures and cost increases that everybody else is, including as it relates to health and benefit costs. And additionally, we've seen some slowing of the revenue growth that we were seeing in the last 5 years. So, we were trying to be responsive to those factors. So as part of that, the city manager's office asked all of the city departments to look for opportunities to strategically reduce budgets as they planned for 2026. What we found and kind of what we expected was it's a pretty lean organization. It wasn't easy for people to do that, and everyone did a great job looking for, identifying the opportunities that they could. And the result of that is a flat general fund budget at $35.9 million, which is the same that we adopted for this year. And that budget is also based on a projected millage rate of 6.25, which would be the same millage rate as we had this year, and we would adopt that in June of 2026, formally. So this slide covers some of the significant items that are included, in the proposed general fund. As you know, the city received some pretty shocking news with the health benefits. This year, the cost increase would have been 31% to stick with what we had with Cigna. And after we went through the process of reviewing all of those options, you all approved a change in carriers to UHC a couple months ago. And that significantly minimized the budget impact that health insurance would have for 2026. Nevertheless, there was still an increase of about 7%. Additionally, we had a continued strategic investment in renewable energy infrastructure. We have some debt service that we have taken on that was included in 2025, but it'll be ongoing in 26. That's for the Fishbolt Park, new Public Works building, and property along Broad Street. We also, this budget includes technology for the Real-Time Crime Center, which, as you know, will be completed very, very soon, and includes an investigator position to staff that center. We also included we'll be procuring a budget software that's sort of really just an efficiency thing to allow us to streamline our budget development and reporting process. Some increased costs for utilities and technology that relate to the new Dresden Park Community Room and the new Public Works building. Just as a note, facilities was one of those areas we just really couldn't take anything out of. We looked at it, and we're starting to realize some costs with those new buildings that are coming online. So that also is the reason for the increase in the custodial that you'll see further down. This budget includes the economic development strategic assessment. That's something that's been in conversation for a while, so we're going to be making that investment, partnering with Georgia Tech for that. And lastly, we have some investments in community engagement for the nonprofit partnership program, neighborhood engagement program, partnered events, and also some expanded events that we're bringing for the FIFA World Cup. So this here is the budget, the general fund budget by department. And you'll see it here as well in chart form. I did lightly update this slide from yesterday's hearing to consolidate administration. That's how we normally would present it. That'll show that, our biggest cost centers are public safety, administrative services, and public works. And then we're moving into the special revenues here. This is a significant increase over last year. Even though we're taking the American Rescue Plan grant that we've used for Dresden, that's coming off. We're also adding the $30 million bond that was issued this year. So as that goes in, you're going to see a substantial increase there. Some of the items that are significant in the special revenues, we have a 10% allocation in the hotel motel fund for public art and PAC projects. That's something we've committed to every year and done. In addition to that, we have some events, again, in preparation for the FIFA World Cup. There's $1.2 million for Rail Trail extension 7 through 12. That's actually funded out of the multiple grant fund, including a TIP grant and some local funds that we're transferring out of the SPLOST fund, and funds to continue the remaining scope of work for the Chamblee Safety Action Plan. In the downtown SSD, we have the design and engineering of the South Lawn Green Space, which is located sort of off that direction if you're in the building. We're continuing the personnel funds for additional maintenance and police personnel, flock cameras on the rail trail, and then some updates to Rideshare Park. And then under the Dresden SSD, which is newly created, you all created that I think it was at the end of last year or beginning of this year. That'll include phase 2 of the Dresden Trail project, which is design and engineering, continued funding for a labor position that will help keep the new Dresden Park as well as Arrow Creek Park, keep it looking gorgeous. And some crosswalk and enhanced safety site improvements along Dresden and Plaster roads. And then finally in SPLOST, these are always some of our bigger projects. So we have the, like I mentioned before, allocation of the matching funds for Rail Trail 7 through 12. We have 2 large projects in the Broad Street and the Chamblee Dunwoody Road Diet, and then we do a police vehicle and equipment replacement annually. That's something that we try to keep up with so that it doesn't hit us all at the same time, and we keep it ongoing. And then some more SPLOST projects, Parson Drive and Perimeter Park Connector property acquisition, completion of the Dresden Park Community Room, that's just a carryover from this year, conversion of Plaza Way to a one-way road. We have the 2026 paving projects funded, the analysis for there's like a 5-year analysis that we're working on that. to get that paving list together ahead of next summer. And then construction of Dresden Trail from Shalford Road to Dresden Park. And then lastly, as I mentioned before, heavy hitters in the park bond fund for Huntley Hills Park, Nancy Creek West and Savoy Trails, Woodacres / South Chambly Park, and then the Keswick Park Master Plan implementation. And finally, we have the enterprise funds. This includes the Stormwater Fund and the Sanitation Fund or Solid Waste Fund. This kind of has a few big items that I wanted to hit. First is the major stormwater inventory and assessment that we're going to be doing. You all approved the scope of work for that. I believe it was last month. There's $1.5 million for stormwater repair projects included, some debt service as well that is tied to some of those buildings. And then lastly, an increase to commercial and residential sanitation fees. As you all know, the sanitation fund runs a deficit. It's subsidized by the general fund, and that's been the case for a while, but in order to alleviate some of that pressure that it has on the general fund going forward, we are proposing a $70 per year increase in '26, and that would go forward for 3 years. So I think, I have it here, that would be $355 annually for next year for customers, and then it would go up to $495 by 2028. And there's also a portion of the business that still does some commercial, and there's an increase there that would add funds for that. So that's the end of my presentation. Any questions?
Thank you, Daria. We'll open up to Mayor and Council for any discussion or questions.
I did see where it said Fishbolt construction would begin in 2025. That's kind of, the clock is running out on that beginning. It says in the thing, I'm pretty sure it said 2025. Okay,
Oh, sorry about that.
that's all.
Yeah.
Just saying it says,
That project's out for bid currently, so definitely can't be constructed, but next year. And I'll fix that
said
on the slide.
construction to begin, so that's,
No, I appreciate it. Thank you for pointing that out.
I want to say thank you for all the hard work that you and the staff put in to make this budget. For those out there that are watching, this is 6 months of work to get to today. It's a lot, and we had significant financial headwinds that we had to deal with and make sure that our budget balanced with all the requests from our staff and make sure that all of our services continued at their high level that our citizens come to expect. So thank you for that. Anything else from Mayor and Council before we move into public comments? All right, I'm going to read the public comments rules. The mayor is presiding officer. All remarks shall be addressed to the city council as a body, not to individual members. Anyone wishing to speak shall come to the microphone, give their name and address to the city clerk. Limit remarks to 3 minutes unless further time is granted by the council. Not speak a second time until everyone wishing to speak has spoken once. No one can speak more than twice. And please do not speak unless you have the microphone and been recognized. And with that, would anybody like to come up to engage in public comment? All right. We have someone. All right, come on up. Please give your name and your address.
Hi, I'm Sarah Ellis. I live in Huntley Hills, 1947 Plantation Lane. I apologize. I thought this public part was at 6:30. So, but can we talk about the Huntley Hills Park, or is that later?
Yeah, we can't have a conversation. You can ask you can talk, but we can't respond in public comments.
Oh, okay. So the folks that I've spoken with that are concerned about the park, I mean, again, it's been a neighborhood that's been there for a long time. Not everybody likes change, but the biggest issue is that there is going to be quite a lot of change that happens, and it needs to be very clear that we're solving the problem that is the reason that we're doing this, right, is to prevent flooding of that street. And the plans that have been presented thus far show a lot of clear cutting of the woods and the underbrush that is helping to slow that when the creek does crest, and ensuring that the folks, especially there's some people in those 4 houses that would be removed that have been in the community for a long time, so making sure that they're happy to move, if that's part of the whole right-of-way plan, which when you look at the plan, I don't remember seeing the houses, so I assume those houses would go away. And then just making sure, again, that it's thoughtful design, that we're solving the main problem, which is the flooding, and that we're not displacing any of our neighbors that have been a part of the community for a long time. So, thank you.
You can hang around after this portion of the meeting and have some discussion, because we'll all be here.
Well, thank you. Anybody else who would like to speak tonight?
Yes. I heard him. He wanted to know if there was going to be some discussion about the parks and the projects and all that. Those are all coming.
That's for the town. I'm having a town hall at 6:30 where I'll be discussing different items. This is budget hearing solely. All right. If there's no more public comment, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Well, thank you all. This is closed.
All right.